Few military figures provoke as much fascination, admiration, and debate as George S. Patton. To some, he was the embodiment of aggressive leadership, fearless, decisive, and relentlessly offensive. To others, he was reckless, temperamental, and politically disastrous. The truth sits uncomfortably between those extremes. Patton was not merely a battlefield commander. He was a force of personality whose strengths and flaws were inseparable. His career reveals how brilliance and volatility can coexist in a single individual, and how history struggles to judge such figures cleanly. A privileged beginning and an unusual mind. Born in 1885 in San Gabriel, California, Patton grew up surrounded by military tradition. His family lineage included Confederate officers who had died in the American Civil War, and stories of past battles filled his childhood. Despite this privileged upbringing, Patton faced early academic challenges, particularly with reading and spelling. Modern historians often suggest he may have had undiagnosed dyslexia, though no formal diagnosis exists. What is clear is that once Patton found his rhythm, he compensated with intensity. He became an obsessive reader of military history, especially campaigns of antiquity and the Civil War, searching constantly for patterns, lessons, and timeless principles of combat. His formal education began relatively late, but ambition carried him forward. After a year at the Virginia Military Institute, he entered the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. There, he struggled academically and was forced to repeat his first year. Instead of breaking him, the setback hardened his resolve. By the time he graduated in 1909, his performance had improved significantly, and he earned a commission in the cavalry. That early experience, failure followed by stubborn perseverance, would define much of his later life. The warrior athlete and early innovation. Patton believed that a soldier's body was as important as his mind. He fenced, rode horses, played polo, and treated physical risk as a badge of honor. In 1912, he represented the United States in the modern pentathlon at the Stockholm Olympics, competing against elite military officers from around the world. He finished fifth, a respectable result that reinforced his belief in discipline, endurance, and personal toughness. His passion for swordsmanship was not mere theatrics. While serving as an instructor, he designed the U.S. Model 1913 cavalry saber, later nicknamed the Patton sword. It reflected his practical mindset. Weapons were tools, not symbols. Even as warfare evolved, Patton constantly searched for ways to merge tradition with modern effectiveness. Mexico and World War I. Patton's first taste of combat came during the 1916 expedition into Mexico to pursue revolutionary leader Pancho Villa. Serving under General John J. Pershing, Patton led a daring raid using automobiles, a first for the U.S. Army that resulted in the killing of several of Villa's men. The mission itself failed to capture Villa, but Patton gained valuable publicity and demonstrated his willingness to embrace new technology. World War I transformed Patton from an ambitious officer into a battlefield innovator. Assigned initially to Pershing's staff in France, he soon became deeply involved in the creation of the U.S. Army Tank Corps. Patton threw himself into the role, organizing training programs, shaping doctrine, and even designing uniforms. He believed tanks were not support weapons but instruments of decisive movement. In combat, he led from the front, sometimes recklessly so. During the St. Mihiel offensive and later the Meuse-Argonne campaign, Patton personally directed tank assaults under fire. He was seriously wounded by a machine gun bullet yet refused evacuation until he had reported to his superiors. For his actions, he received the Distinguished Service Cross and earned a reputation for personal courage that would follow him for the rest of his career. Between wars. After World War I, Patton returned to a peacetime army that was skeptical of tanks and mobility. Reduced in rank and influence, he refused to abandon his convictions. Through the 1920s and 1930s, he studied armored warfare, attended the Army War College, and argued that future wars would be decided by speed, shock, and maneuver, not static defenses. His ideas often clashed with institutional conservatism, but global events slowly proved him right. By the late 1930s, as Europe rearmed, Patton's theories gained traction. Promotions followed, and by 1941, he was commanding the 2nd Armored Division. He also established the Desert Training Center in California, where American troops prepared for combat in North Africa under brutal conditions designed to simulate real war. World War II and the rise of old blood and guts. Patton's World War II career cemented his legend. He played a central role in the Allied landings in North Africa in 1942 and later commanded the U.S. 7th Army during the invasion of Sicily. There, his aggressive use of armor led to rapid territorial gains, including the capture of Palermo and Messina. His speed often embarrassed Allied counterparts and unsettled enemy commanders. Yet Sicily also exposed Patton's darker side. Incidents involving prisoners of war and his infamous slapping of hospitalized soldiers suffering from what would now be recognized as combat stress sparked outrage. Though he avoided permanent dismissal, these controversies nearly ended his career and temporarily sidelined him from frontline command. Ironically, Patton soon became essential to Allied deception efforts. Placed in nominal command of a fictitious army in England, he helped convince German intelligence that the main Allied invasion would strike the Pas de Calais rather than Normandy. Once the invasion succeeded, Patton was unleashed. The Third Army's relentless advance. In the summer of 1944, Patton took command of the Third Army in France and demonstrated operational brilliance. His forces surged across northern France with astonishing speed, capturing key cities and shattering German defenses. Patton ignored rigid doctrine, improvising supply solutions and exploiting every weakness he detected. During the Battle of the Bulge, his ability to pivot an entire army under winter conditions to relieve the besieged town of Bastogne became one of the most celebrated maneuvers of the war. By early 1945, his troops had crossed into Germany, capturing tens of thousands of prisoners and vast territory. Despite his success, Patton clashed repeatedly with Allied leadership. He wanted to drive straight to Berlin, believing speed could shorten the war and reshape post-war Europe. Strategic realities and political agreements, however, kept him on a shorter leash, a difficult peace and a sudden end. With Germany defeated, Patton struggled in the political environment of occupation. Appointed military governor of Bavaria, he proved unsuited for diplomatic restraint. His blunt criticism of denazification policies and inflammatory public comments led to his removal from major command. Assigned to oversee historical documentation rather than troops, Patton felt discarded. Then, in December 1945, he was gravely injured in a low-speed automobile accident in Germany. After days of severe pain, he died at age 60. His sudden death fueled conspiracy theories, but no credible evidence has ever substantiated claims of assassination. Legacy. Patton remains one of the most complex figures in American military history. He was deeply religious, yet violently profane, disciplined yet impulsive, visionary yet politically tone-deaf. He inspired fierce loyalty among many of his soldiers while alienating others. His attitudes on race and ethnicity were deeply flawed, even as he commanded diverse units that performed with distinction. What cannot be denied is his mastery of mobile warfare. Patton understood momentum, psychology, and the value of decisive action better than most of his contemporaries. His legacy forces an uncomfortable question. Can greatness be separated from character? History has largely answered no. Patton is remembered not as a flawless hero, but as a brilliant, deeply human commander whose victories reshaped modern warfare and whose contradictions ensure he will never be forgotten. History isn't shaped by perfect people. It's shaped by relentless ones. And Patton proves how ambition, discipline, and flaws can collide to change the world. If this deep dive helped you see leadership, war, and legacy from a sharper angle, stick around for more videos like this. If you want to be smarter every day, like and subscribe.